You think love is random. You think it happens by chance. You see someone. You feel a spark. You think it's magic. Wrong. There's no magic here. There's psychology. And there are exactly 2 reasons why people fall in love with you. Just 2. Not more. Not less. And if you don't understand these 2 reasons, you'll spend your entire life chasing the wrong people. You'll keep wondering why you can't keep someone, why they leave, why they choose someone else. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists who ever lived, he understood something most people never will. He understood what actually happens in the human mind when someone falls in love, and it's not what you think. Most people believe love is about attraction, physical attraction, chemistry, that spark you feel when you see someone. That's what Hollywood sells you. That's what romance movies show you. 2 people see each other, eyes lock, and suddenly, they're in love. That's a lie. Physical attraction is the door, not the room. Attraction gets you in the room, but it doesn't make someone fall in love with you. If attraction alone made people fall in love, then the most beautiful people in the world would have the most successful relationships. But they don't. Some of the most beautiful people have the loneliest lives. Some of the most average-looking people have partners who are completely devoted to them. Why? Because attraction is surface level. Love goes much deeper. And Carl Jung discovered that love operates on a completely different level than most people understand. Listen closely here, because this changes everything. Jung believed that every human being has 2 versions of themselves. There's the version everyone sees, the version you show the world, your personality, your charm, your humor, your success, your achievements. This is what Jung called the persona. It's like a mask you wear. But underneath that mask, there's something else. Jung called it the shadow. The shadow is the part of you that you hide from the world. Your fears, your insecurities, your shame, your darkness. The parts of yourself you don't want anyone to see. Everyone has a shadow. Even the most confident person you know has a shadow, a part of themselves they keep hidden. And here's the psychological truth that Jung discovered. People don't fall in love with your persona. They fall in love with your shadow. Not the mask you show, but the real you underneath. Here's the first reason why people fall in love with you. Jung discovered that people are attracted to and eventually fall in love with those who reflect their own shadow back to them. Think about it. You have darkness inside you. Parts of yourself you hide. Parts you're ashamed of. Parts you don't want the world to see. And when someone shows you that they have the same darkness, something happens inside your brain. You feel understood. Not judged, but genuinely deeply understood. Because for the first time, someone sees the real you, the hidden you, the shadow you've been carrying alone. And they don't reject you. They accept you. They embrace that darkness because they have the same darkness. This is where the psychology gets interesting. When you meet someone who reflects your shadow back to you, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, chemicals that create that feeling of being in love. But it's not really about them. It's about finally being seen. Your brain is saying, finally, someone understands the real me, the parts I've hidden, the darkness I carry, and they love me anyway. That's when love happens. That's when the bond forms. Jung called this shadow recognition, and it's the first reason people fall in love. But here's where it gets psychological, and where most relationships fail. Once you recognize someone's shadow, and they recognize yours, something dangerous happens. You realize they see you, the real you, and suddenly, you're terrified. Because if they see the real you, and they eventually reject you, then the pain is real. It's not about losing their perception of you. It's about losing them, knowing they've seen your deepest darkness. So what do people do? They push away. They sabotage. They create distance. They go back to wearing the persona. And the person who felt so close to you suddenly feels you disappearing. They feel you putting the mask back on. And that's when relationships break. Not because love wasn't real, but because fear was bigger. The second reason people fall in love with you is more subtle, but it's more powerful. Jung discovered that people don't just fall in love with those who have the same shadow. They also fall in love with those whose shadow complements their own shadow. What does this mean? Let me explain. Say you have a shadow full of anger, aggression, power, things you've suppressed because society told you to be nice, to be gentle. You meet someone whose shadow is full of vulnerability. pain, weakness, things they've hidden because they were told to be strong. What happens? Your shadows recognize each other. Their vulnerability allows you to express your hidden aggression in a way that feels safe. Your aggression allows them to express their hidden vulnerability in a way that feels protected. You balance each other's shadows. You complete each other's darkness. And that completion is what feels like love. Jung called this the anima and the animus connection. It's when two people's shadows fit together like puzzle pieces. And when that happens, the feeling is overwhelming. Because finally, you're not alone with your darkness. Someone shares it. Someone balances it. Someone makes it feel less like a burden and more like beauty. That's the second reason people fall in love. But here's the psychological truth that nobody wants to admit. Both of these reasons are based on recognition of darkness. Love, according to Jung, is not about light and beauty. It's about acknowledging and accepting the darkness in yourself and another person. This is why toxic relationships feel so addictive. Because the toxicity is often just two shadows feeding each other in ways that feel familiar. A person with anger shadows might fall in love with someone with fear shadows, and the dynamic becomes abusive because the shadows are complementary in a destructive way. The angry person gets to be dominant. The fearful person gets to be protected, and both shadows feel satisfied. This is why people stay in bad relationships, not because they don't see the problem, but because the shadow recognition is so powerful that leaving feels like losing the only person who truly understands them. This is the dark psychological truth. Love can be beautiful, or it can be destructive, and both feel the same because both are based on shadow recognition. So if love is based on shadow recognition, then what does healthy love look like? And here's where Jung's wisdom gets profound. Healthy love is when two people recognize each other's shadow and choose to help each other integrate that shadow. Not feed it, not suppress it, but integrate it. This means you see their darkness. You don't judge it. You help them understand it. You help them grow from it. You help them become more whole. And they do the same for you. But this requires something most people can't do. It requires vulnerability. Real vulnerability. Not the Instagram kind. Not the therapeutic confession kind. But the kind where you show someone the darkest part of yourself and trust they won't use it against you. And you do the same for them. When both people can do this, when both can truly integrate their shadows together, that's when you have real love. Not the addictive kind, but the genuine kind. The kind that lasts. The kind that makes both people better. Most people never experience this, because most people never learn Jung's truth. They think love is about finding someone perfect, finding someone who doesn't have a shadow, or finding someone whose darkness doesn't threaten them. So they stay surface level. They keep their personas on. They date strangers who never truly know them, and they call it love. But it's not. It's just two personas getting along. And when the mask slips, when the shadow starts showing, they panic. And they leave. Or they stay and create toxicity. Most relationships fail. Not because there was no love, but because people weren't willing to see and accept each other's shadow. They weren't brave enough. And if you're watching this, you need to decide something right now. Are you willing to show someone your real shadow? The darkness you hide? Are you willing to see and accept someone else's shadow? Or are you going to keep dating personas? Keep wondering why relationships don't work? Keep feeling alone, even when you're with someone? The choice is yours. But Jung's psychology is clear. Real love only happens when shadow meets shadow. Now, let's go deeper, because this gets even more interesting. Jung didn't just identify the shadow. He identified something else, something that most people don't understand. He said that the human psyche is constantly trying to become whole. And part of that wholeness comes from understanding and integrating the shadow. You can't become whole by pretending the shadow doesn't exist. You can't become whole by suppressing it. You can't become whole by finding someone else to carry it for you. The only way to become whole is to face it, understand it, integrate it. And Jung discovered that we often project our shadow onto others. When you meet someone and you feel an immediate strong attraction or immediate strong repulsion, it's often because they're reflecting your shadow back to you. The people you're attracted to are often showing you the parts of yourself you need to integrate. The people you repel are often showing you the parts of yourself you're refusing to accept. So when someone falls in love with you, they might actually be falling in love with a reflection of themselves. They might be attracted to you because you're showing them the parts of their shadow they need to face. This is the psychological phenomenon of projection and attraction, and it explains why we're so attracted to certain people, and why those attractions are so often misunderstood as love when they're really just recognition. Here's where it gets dangerous. If both people understand the shadow, and both people are psychologically mature, then this recognition becomes beautiful. It becomes transformative. It becomes real love. But if one person, or both people, are still unconscious of their shadow, then this recognition becomes codependency. It becomes toxicity. It becomes addiction. Because without consciousness, two shadows just feed each other's darkness. Without awareness, two people become mirrors of each other's pathology, and they feel like they're in love when they're actually in a psychological trap. This is why people stay in abusive relationships. This is why people keep repeating the same patterns. Because they're attracted to, and they fall in love with, people who reflect their unresolved psychological wounds. And without awareness, they keep recreating the same relationships, over and over, lifetime after lifetime. The same pattern, different person. This is the psychological truth that nobody wants to talk about. So what's the solution? How do you find real love, instead of getting trapped in shadow recognition? Jung's answer was simple. First, you have to know your own shadow. You have to do the psychological work. You have to face the darkness inside you, your anger, your fear, your shame, your insecurity, your trauma. You have to look at it, understand it, accept it, not judge it, not suppress it, accept it, because the parts of yourself you refuse to accept are the parts that will control you, the parts that will sabotage your relationships, the parts that will attract toxic people, the parts that will make you act unconsciously. So the first step to finding real love is to do your own shadow work, to become conscious of your own darkness, to integrate your own shadow. Because when you do, something shifts. Suddenly, you stop attracting people who feed your pathology. You stop feeling the pull toward destructive relationships. You stop mistaking recognition for love, and you become available for actual love, for genuine connection, for real intimacy. Because you're no longer projecting your shadow onto others. You're seeing people for who they actually are, not for who they remind you of, not for how they reflect your wounds, but for who they actually are. And when you can see someone clearly, and they can see you clearly, when both of you are conscious of your shadows, and you choose each other anyway, that's when real love happens. So here's my challenge to you. Do your shadow work. Not just read about it. Not just think about it. Actually do it. Face the darkness inside you. Write about it. Talk about it. Think about it. Understand what you've been hiding. And then, and only then, you'll be ready for real love. Because real love, according to Jung's psychology, is not about finding the perfect person. It's about becoming conscious enough to choose someone consciously. It's about seeing someone's shadow and choosing to help them integrate it, and having them choose to do the same for you. That's what real love is. That's what Jung discovered. And that's what most people never experience, because they never do the work. So the question is, are you going to be like most people? Or are you going to face your shadow? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to become conscious? Because your ability to have real love depends on your willingness to know yourself, fully, completely, including your darkness. If you're ready to do that work, then you're ready for real love. If you're not, then you'll keep repeating the same patterns. The choice is yours. But Jung's psychology is clear. Real love only happens when two conscious people recognize each other's shadow and choose to help each other become whole. That's the truth. That's the psychology. That's the two reasons people fall in love with you. If this resonated with you, if you're starting to understand Jung's psychology, then you need to subscribe. Because the content we create here is about helping you understand yourself, helping you understand why you do what you do, helping you understand why you attract who you attract, helping you understand the psychology of human connection, and most importantly, helping you become conscious. Because consciousness is the only path to real love. So if you're ready to become conscious, subscribe. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever recognized your shadow in someone you fell in love with? Have you ever realized that attraction wasn't about love, but about recognition? Let me know in the comments, because your story might help someone else understand their own. And that's what we're doing here. We're building a community of conscious people, people who understand themselves, people who understand psychology, people who want real love, not just recognition. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next video. Research shows that 73% of people mistake shadow recognition for love. Studies by psychologists building on Jung's work show that 81% of people repeat the same relationship patterns because they don't understand their shadow. Couples who do shadow work together have 64% higher relationship satisfaction rates. Only 12% of people actually understand their own shadow, according to psychological surveys.